he violated policy. The chief saw that video, and the chief made a decision that he no longer needed to work here.
Yeah. I've got another update for you today, and we're going to look at some footage in a way that's not yet been seen. This update comes out of the Deland Police Department in Florida and relates to a story I brought to you about a year ago with the most reckless driving cop I've ever seen, caught on camera. He even did a hit and run, then lied about it. Then the department appeared to cover the whole thing up, but after months of digging, I was able to find and bring the story to you. So we're going to have a new look at that dash cam video. Previously, a lot of people didn't like that I had to mute the original audio, and I did that because I have to for copyright reasons. Like it or not, that's just the way it is. I didn't like it, but got to do what I got to do. But today I'm going to show you at least the meat and potatoes of that dash cam video with the original audio, and you'll finally see what I was talking about with how what was playing in the background at the time was almost kind of fitting in a comical way, but you're going to see for yourself in just a minute. You're going to see this cop blast through active school zones on wet roads, blow through stop signs, even a red light where he almost takes out an 18-wheeler, or almost takes himself out with an 18-wheeler, hits a parked car and takes off, all with the original audio that many of you wanted so badly. As much as I can, anyway. We'll look at that, then I'm going to give you the details of the cover-up, the truth, the fallout, the lies, and how this incident right here ties into the questionable behavior we currently see from the Deland Police Department. So let's get right into this dash cam. As this video begins, over the radio, former Officer Renda sits parked in his car when he hears on the radio that another officer on the other end of town is chasing somebody on foot. Countless other officers are in the area, much closer to Renda, but still, what one of their captain agrees as one of the worst examples of emergency response driving we've ever seen. That's probably the worst display of emergency response driving I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But even with all that said, former Officer Chris Renda still thought the juice was worth the squeeze in jeopardizing the safety of everybody to do what you're about to see him do.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, that's all the original audio I can play, but luckily that was the best parts of the dash cam video. Best meaning most intense, and I will play that part of the video again, uninterrupted, at the end of this video. But you saw, by law, by policy, by logic, absolutely reckless. Some people are going to get into the comments and claim emergency vehicles are allowed to drive like that, and that's absolutely false. Don't believe what you read in comments. They're exempt from some traffic violations in some circumstances, but safety also always has to be first. They have to slow down or stop at these intersections to safely clear them. And he almost got an 18-wheeled reminder. The school zone was horrific. Watch it again or wait till the end of this video. You can see the light flashing, the cones in the road, the crossing guard. So that was immensely dangerous. And this story is going to be new to some of you. So I'm going to give you the overall summary of what happened in the cover-up and all the lies and all of that. And then I'll get into the new information, what has happened in the year since I published that video initially. And this video right here, or the initial one that I published, I think is a perfect example, if not the reason itself, for a lot of things that have happened and are still happening. And you see, as I've been talking here, the guy's still reckless, blowing through stop signs, wet roads, all over the place. Prior to this, he already totaled a police car and a citizen's car in another at-fault crash. Now the lies, they started with Renda, but soon the department joined in as well. We saw that Renda made a turn onto a residential street way too fast and struck a legally parked vehicle. In the original story, some people commented, that car shouldn't have been illegally parked, then it wouldn't have happened. Well, what may be illegal in your state, well, that's perfectly legal here. The car was legally parked. And what are you saying? You should just expect that the police may come barreling across your yard recklessly. Don't whine about it if they ruin your stuff. That's crazy talk. But anyway, the only at-play factor was the reckless driving of Renda. He was not able to handle and control the vehicle in the manner he was driving it. And he hit that parked car. And he said nothing about it and he took off. Well, maybe he just thinks it's an emergency wherever he's going. Mind you, by this point, everything's already handled. He's basically just showing up to join in the after party, I guess. So maybe he's just going there, then he's going to go back and leave a note or try to contact the owner or call his supervisor or whatever. No, definitely not the case. He just went on about his business with no mention of it. I should also mention, he's got a ride along with him. He's got a cadet in the car with him. Now, I don't know if this was a juvenile in the cadet youth program or maybe a new officer, but I'm thinking it was probably a juvenile because I don't think they would put a new guy with Renda. He was still on probation at the time and so far wasn't leaving a good impression. Why they would put a juvenile with him also is beyond me. But anyway, that's a fact. Now, during all this time that all of the Deland Police Department is hanging out at this call, a citizen calls police and says he just found his vehicle damaged, parked in front of his house. Someone hit it and took off. He didn't see it happen. Well, with nobody available, he had to wait for a while. In the meantime, a neighbor came across the street and said, hey, I saw a police car crash into your car and take off. And he was like, what? A police car? They would never do such a thing. But yeah, they did. So eventually police show up to take the report. They tell him, hey, a police car did this. Then they do some asking around of people that took that route to go to this call. And they come to Renda. Hey, Renda, did you crash into anything on the way to this call? Like maybe a car parked legally on the side of the road? No, well, I don't think so. I don't remember hitting anything. He's asked a few times. You sure? Yeah, nope, didn't hit anything. I'm a great driver and I'd surely tell you if I did. Well, alrighty then. But then the supervisor looked at his car and he had fresh damage on his driver's front fender. This damage and the paint transfer was consistent with the victim's vehicle. So that was that. They determined that he did it and he lied about it. He did get a written reprimand for this. Important to remember this fact, so hang on to that. The reprimand was for the hit and run itself, not for the insanely reckless driving that we see here on video. And the Florida Highway Patrol came out and did the crash report. The Deland Police Department told FHP that there's no video. They wrote in the reports there was no video. They said they tried to get it from his dash cam, but darn it, the Ethernet cable was broken and the darn thing just wasn't recording. So the whole thing was written up without seeing what actually happened as basically collateral damage. He's responding to an emergency and a mistake happened. No charges, no citations. And this took place in January of 2024, and he got the written reprimand in January 2024. And then business as usual. Everything went on with no video. But members of that department started reaching out to me anonymously. Their claim was, hey, this department is trying to cover something up. They told me the details, and they said there's video, but the department is claiming there's no video. And it was a few members of the department independently reaching out to me. Some of them said they saw the video themselves, and the video is bad. They also said you're probably never going to get it because they're hiding it. But if it exists, it's public record. So I started record requests. I started trying to get this video, this mythical video, and I was just having no luck. Video just doesn't seem to exist. But then members of that department sent me screenshots of the video, evidence that it did exist. I shared with the department Not the evidence, but the fact that I had evidence that the video does exist, and then things started to change. I fought and fought to get this video. This went on and on. This went on for 6 months. Then after 6 months, suddenly, unexpectedly, I get an email from the Deland Police Department with some sort of record in it. To my surprise, it's this video. Wow, I don't know what happened, what changed, but I have it. I looked at it and I was like, holy crap, they were right, it's bad. But then I found out that Officer Renda was terminated. I wonder what he did. Well, it turns out they fired him for this incident, but they fired him at the same time that they gave me the video. If you remember, he had already been disciplined for the incident, but then 6 months later, fired for the exact same thing. My thoughts on reasoning will be coming soon. Share yours in the comments, but that's awful coincidental, isn't it? So the CJSCT Form 61 that you should be familiar with on this channel, that they have to fill out and send to the state anytime there's a change in status of any officer. They're suspended, they quit, they're fired, whatever it is, and you have to put the reasoning on there. Well, as we see so often, they lied on that form. They checked the box that says he just didn't complete his training. There's nothing specific, but maybe he was just having difficulty with one aspect of his training. No policy violations, no repeated reckless driving issues that resulted in at least 2 crashes. They should have checked this box because he was in fact fired for violating policy. He was fired for this incident. Let's hear from Captain Dice himself, who will confirm he was terminated for violating policy and he was terminated for this incident. And I believe they hate me so much today because the honesty of Dice that day didn't match the department's lies. You guys saw that video, you saw that driving, and you say he was let go because his driving was terrible. But he was allowed to drive for 6 more months like that before he was let go.
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
It just seems to me, man, you know how it looks. They're just, time and time again, there seems to be a lot of coincidence coming out of this department. You know what I mean? A lot of coincidental things.
The only thing I can tell you is his driving was terrible. That wasn't his first time, and he was let go.
Yeah, it wasn't his first time. That's probably the worst display of emergency response driving I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I agree, he should have been let go for it. I think everybody would agree. The only damn thing is nothing happened. It was 6 months. So then 6 months later, I don't understand why the decision was made 6 months later. If that was the reason, 6 months later, he's on probation, so nobody needs a reason. You can just be like, hey, get out of here. We're done, Yeah. But would you agree that would seem coincidental to someone outside that giving me that video and releasing Renda at the same time? Pretty coincidental?
I couldn't agree with that, man.
You don't think that seems coincidental?
Yeah, we released the video at that moment because we released the video. It had nothing to do with, we didn't release Renda because people would ask for the video.
No, not because people would ask for the video, but I think because
we gave it to you.
Typically what happens, typically what happens when it gets out there, people start making phone calls on their own. They send emails, they make phone calls, whatever they do, and they say, how the hell is this guy still on the road? Well, if you let him go at the same time, knowing that now people are going to see that video, the response can be, no, we let him go. We let him go. Not for a while, but we let him go.
No, the facts are the facts. We let it go 6 months after.
Right. At the same time the video was released.
I would talk to somebody other than me because I didn't I didn't investigate that. I wasn't involved in that.
But he had initially only received a written reprimand because they said there was no video.
I can't answer that.
It appears that the decision was made not because that video exists, but because people are about to see that video.
No, it was made because he violated policy.
Right, but
the chief saw that video, and the chief made a decision that he no longer needed to work here.
Yeah, he did violate policy. He got a written reprimand for it, but then when the video came out, he was terminated for it. So he kind of got double disciplined for it. So you heard Captain Dice confirm it. He violated policy and he had to be let go. So by all means, please, somebody, after you've heard the Deland Police Department say he was terminated for violating policy, why did the form that goes to the state say that he did not violate policy? Oftentimes this is a common practice because most people don't look. Most people never find out. When we look into these things, they kind of don't like it, but you'll be amazed what you find. These things are typically done to help out that officer, help them get hired at the next place they apply to. Because to the state and to the next agency, it looks like for whatever reason the officer just decided to leave, go on, do something else. Wasn't for him. And because they claim there was no video, they don't even have all of these actions on record. So another agency that he applies to would only find any of that out from my videos. And that brings us to where we are today, and what I showed you and explained to you in the previous video. They are the ones that claimed no video existed for this. Not me, I didn't do that. I just found out about it. And Renda was on probation. They could have easily let him go. What I believe a possible scenario is that they were aware of this incident. I know they were aware of this incident. Everybody in the department said that they were aware, and they claimed that the department was hiding it. I believe if they let him go for it and they drew attention to it, then the public may see the video. They might see what happened, and it would be a terrible look for the department. And I agree with that. However, had they shown that, maybe local media would have picked it up. And it looks bad, egg on their face. But they also could have said, and the officer was immediately terminated. So yeah, this was bad, but look what we did. We handled it immediately. But instead, allegedly, they hid it. Not only that, but Renda, like I said, previously had a pretty bad crash at fault on duty. And then with all of this that took place, they still allowed him to be out on the road for another 6 months, ending his termination only at the very same time they gave me the video, knowing that you're going to see the video. So if they handled it properly, initially it would have looked a little bit bad, but handling it would have looked good. I believe the route that they took is a much, much worse look. Now in the year that has followed, leading up to present day, I won't go through everything we did in the last video, but it appears that internal investigations, internal things, are maybe being handled and labeled differently. To some, it may appear that this is in an attempt to make them more difficult for a member of the public to find. And if you've not watched that previous video, please do. There's a lot of good details in that video, linked in a pinned comment. In that video, it details all of the information that shows that they are very upset that I have found out many of the things that I've found out. They're very upset that they have whistleblowers within the organization and they want to find them, even though they're protected by statute and blowing the whistle. They accuse me of wanting to make them look bad. This is not at all the case, but they may feel that way because stories like this one, some may say, makes them look bad, but that's not me doing it. This is me informing the public about things they should be informed about with their public agencies. They had the opportunity to make this positive. And when I initially did this story, it was seen by a lot of people, nearly 1 million. And I have to guess they didn't like that. And I've given them lots of suggestions. I've offered to work with them with very simple things that they could do to avoid this type of negative attention. But so far, they seem uninterested, instead just calling me an enemy for doing nothing more than showing you what's going on, as you have the right and the duty to know. Maybe this is why they've gone from 25 to 30 internal investigations per year, and now in 2024 and 2025, somehow there have been only 3. In my opinion, and it's shared by many, even many in the department, is because they have relabeled things. They're doing these investigations differently and calling them different things. Some say in an effort to hide these things from the public so nothing hurts their image. One thing that would greatly improve their image is to stop putting focus on doing things like that and trying to identify who whistleblowers are. Listen to outside ideas from the people who have those opinions that you're so concerned about. I believe they hate that everybody saw this, not just the incident on video, but the apparent lies about the video, the existence of the video, the fact that they claim to the state that there was no misconduct involved, no policy violations. They did this, and they were perfectly fine with it until we all found out. And I 100% believe that had I not gotten that video, great chance that officer would have had another incident that could have been even worse because his driving was just horrendous and dangerous. And I believe they had no intention of any further action. He had already been disciplined for this. Disciplined with a lot of information left out. All, perhaps, to protect an image. Share your thoughts. Make sure you're subscribed. I see that a lot of you keep coming back and you watch all these videos, but you haven't hit the subscribe button yet. It's free. It helps us out. It helps us get this information to even more people. Make sure you turn the notifications on while you're at it so you can be the first to be notified of all the new stuff coming. And I'm going to leave you with an uninterrupted look of that reckless driving dash cam up until the hit and run.
Go ahead. But we had a backdancing off our heads on foot. Last one, so we came to it. Eastbound Amelia. I'm sorry, eastbound Howard. From Amelia. So, right now he's head up to New York.
Am I being detained?